This is Let's Go Live with Jack Kelly. Good. I guess this is good afternoon. Good morning to you, I guess, because you're Tuck, you're in San Francisco, I bet.
I'm in the Bay Area.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess good afternoon to you. Good morning. Good morning to me.
so Tuck, I want to make sure I get it right. Hopfer.
Hauptfuhrer, that's right.
Hauptfuhrer. Okay. And with EarnBetter. So this is really interesting. This is what I'm really excited about speaking. Let me just get on the speaker on the right mode so that everyone can see you. So basically, we all hear about AI and everything going on with AI, but what I find interesting, and when I saw EarnBetter Tuck's startup, is that it shows, hey, what AI can do in terms of helping people with their resume, with their cover letter, with ancillary, work that they need to do, and also how to find a better job, make more money, and improve your career. So it's not like this ethereal AI. How is this going to help? This is real. Like this is something that you're helping people. And as I understand it, you went from 100,000 to like 1 million resumes and cover letters recently, right?
Yeah, so we are crossing kind of the 500,000 actually resumes and
Mhm.
cover letters on our platform. So we publicly launched the platform in November, and since then we've grown to roughly 500,000 resumes and create cover letters created on the platform.
So maybe you could we could take a step back, Tuck, and you could share what made you decide to move from a nice tech career and become an entrepreneur during some challenging times, and in particular, focus on AI.
Yeah, so before EarnBetter, I was at Credit Karma for almost 10 years. Um, and while there, and some of our co-founders came from Credit Karma, we just observed that Credit Karma is a company that helps people, better understand their credit scores and find financial products and try to make financial progress. What we found for so many people, financial progress was elusive without changing your job, without being more successful in job searches. And so, I always had the advice, or always received the advice, it's time to start a business when, or a good time to start a business is when you fall in love with a problem and you just can't think about doing something differently. And so, I've always been very, mission driven and focused on impact. And, just really came together with some folks from Credit Karma. And we wanted to build a business that provided free support to people, for people to kind of, help advance their careers and thrive professionally. And so it really was kind of falling in love with this problem and seeing the potential impact they could have on real people. Before we wrote a line of code of EarnBetter, we interviewed hundreds of people. We
Hmm.
worked with them manually in their job searches and just saw how tedious it was, how hard it was, the ups and downs, kind of the emotional element of it, just how much time it took. And around the same time, we also saw, this huge wave in AI that was coming. And we just thought that, when we talked to people, that we'd always ask, who's helping you in your job search? And the answer we almost always got was kind of just a sheepish, it's just me. And the lucky few had people in their network that they could rely on to kind of help them. And so for us, it no longer needs to be that way. We wanted to build a tool that harnesses AI to help everyone, in their job search and in their careers. And so it's really kind of the right time, falling in love with the problem, connecting some dots from prior work at Credit Karma, where the entrepreneurial life certainly isn't an easy life, but it's that passion for the problem and passion for impact that drove and motivated me and some of the other founders to start EarnBetter.
Yeah, I could certainly empathize with that as somebody who's run a search firm for 25 years. uh, there's such intrinsic joy when you help somebody find a new job. And when somebody like hates their boss, hates their company, they feel stuck, and now they get a better job, more money, more opportunity, growth. I mean, that's just an amazing feeling. So I could understand why hey, I have a great job, safe job, doing really well, but how can I move the needle and really make an impact? And you say, hey, maybe this is the way I can do it by building this startup and helping, hopefully over the course of time, millions and millions of people get jobs and make it easier and better. Because I got to tell you firsthand, searching for a job, and you spoke to a lot of people, it's brutal, especially for white collar, middle, white collar, mid level, senior people. It is rough. So it's really good
Yeah,
that you're doing something. And maybe you could talk a little bit about how this all works. So if somebody wants to use, EarnBetter, you know, how does it go from like start to finish? You know what I mean? In terms of getting it
Yeah.
started.
Yeah. So we built our product really to be easy, fast, simple. AI can be really intimidating, right?
Mhm.
How do you use it? How do you incorporate in your job search? We want to make it approachable. So the product's completely free, but also really easy to use. So you go to EarnBetter, type in your email. The next step, you're prompted just to upload, your resume in whatever format that it's in. From there, we'll parse it and we'll ask you a couple questions just so we can make sure that it's presenting kind of a resume targeted at the types of jobs that you're looking for and things like that. And after you answer those couple questions, you'll see a draft of your new resume. And from there, you can update the format if you'd like. You can update specific parts of it. You can add sections. Really, we let the AI do a lot of the heavy lifting, but ultimately, like it's that combination between AI and kind of the job seeker to, finalize tailoring it and making it, perfect for, what they want. So you kind of start, you get that resume. After that, you then can search through job matches on the platform. So we've got roughly 5 million jobs on our site, and we'll search for jobs based on what's in your resume, your profile, your preferences. And when you find a job you like, we can help you then tailor your resume and draft a cover letter specifically for those opportunities. And so again, those are going to be AI generated, and then you can kind of edit those as you see fit, before submitting those applications to employers. And then other features we built in is, we're just very job seeker focused. If there's a job that you're really interested in that you don't find on EarnBetter, you can copy in the job description to kind of adjust your resume or draft a cover letter for a job that you found on another platform. Because ultimately, again, we want to give job seekers as many tools as possible to automate the tedious aspects of the job search to free up time and kind of be more effective. So that's kind of the core of the experience today. We also have tools to help people with thank you notes and follow-up emails, just a lot of the content that comes as a part of the job search. Again, that combination of AI and human, we find creates a lot of efficiencies for job seekers so they can free up their time to do other types of things in the search as well.
Yeah, Tuck, one of the things that kind of blows my mind, and I'll say for the audience, but when I say the audience, it's really me because I'm trying to figure it out. When you say millions of jobs, can you help me understand how does this work? Is this kind of like what Google did back in the day, where they're able to index everything and then bring it to you in a neat format, but now we're doing it in all these kind of different verticals? Is that sort of
Yeah.
kind of basic to start with? So
Well,
maybe you can tell me, how does it work?
yeah, certainly. So it's a combination of technology and partnership. So
Okay.
we partner with other job boards. We partner with recruitment marketing agencies. We partner with nonprofits to bring in, a dozen plus kind of job feeds into our ecosystem. And so it really helps. And then we have the technology to kind of parse through and again find the jobs the right fits for certain individuals and scan through those. So it's kind of the combination of partnerships and technology that helps us tap into a lot of different disparate job sources all over the internet and kind of bring them into a single platform. So that's the kind of rough thumbnail of how we're doing that today.
Is it also using, machine learning and all that kind of stuff where, you would be able to, gather, from the internet and just be able to kind of put those jobs into however it's set up. And then it just, after a while, like you said, it could be millions of jobs, right?
Yeah, we use AI in our process to do that. But again, we also partner with a
Mm.
lot of leading job boards and other recruitment marketing agencies and nonprofits that are looking to kind of promote and get jobs out there. So there's a lot of different constituents, and so kind of a combination of just partnership work to bring those jobs into our ecosystem, the technology work as well, just to kind of normalize it and deduplicate them and things like that.
So is it also like a numbers game then for job seekers, but in the sense that if you have, let's not even say million, because let's say it cuts down to whatever their, type of job is. But if you're able to have hundreds of thousands of jobs that are relevant, the odds are more in your favor that you're going to find a job that fits your criteria and that you're interested, right? If it's a job, just one job board, you may or may not have, the right jobs. If it's two job boards, but if you have so many, now for the job seeker, you have way more to choose from. Is that kind of does
Yeah,
that?
just all else equal, the more jobs you have to choose
Yeah.
from, the more, our machine learning can kind of parse through and figure out ones that we think you're best qualified for and best kind of align with your interests, your profile, your preferences. And so, we still want to kind of curate those set of matches
Mhm.
because, even culling through a list of 100, 200 jobs, that's a lot of work. We talk about kind of tedious parts of the job search. Just scanning through job description after job description is a very tedious task. So again, we want kind of our technology to do a lot of that work. So we're just bubbling up the top opportunities that we're finding for you. There's also search capabilities, so you can search based on certain terms and other elements, and then help you kind of customize and tailor your pitch for that employer with a cover letter, with a tailored resume for those kind of top matches. So all else equal, certainly bringing more jobs into the mix gives our algorithm more to kind of choose from to surface up the right opportunities for you. Um, but again, we still want to kind of take a lot of that burden off the job seeker, so they're not just scanning through job description after job description, because that's again a really tedious aspect of the search.
So can you have like a co-pilot type of option where, as the AI will do it itself, but then you could fine tune it even more so to narrow in instead of having, 1,000 jobs you're looking through, maybe just 50 really on target, amazing ones.
Right. Yeah, that's the vision of kind of where we're taking this, which is this assistant that's kind of sitting alongside you in the job search. And so that assistant will help you with your resume. It'll help you with, tailoring your cover letter and resume for specific opportunities, help in kind of finding those opportunities. In the longer term, we're excited about opportunities to kind of help with, interview preparation and networking and a lot of other components. Just because most people aren't professional job seekers. They're professionals in whatever area they're in. And so, we want to bring best practices and technology to help make everyone a professional job seeker so they can focus on, finding a great job. And we deliver the tools that help them do that. So, our vision really is to be that assistant, riding alongside someone and helping them in their search.
Now, you've been doing this for how long now? About a year, a little less than a year?
Yeah, so founded the company in 2022, and then we
Mhm.
publicly launched the second half of last year.
Where do you see it going? Is it just keep growing in this space, or are you going to add on other types of features?
Yeah, so we want to do everything we can to help with the job search. So as I
Yeah.
mentioned, we're starting with the resume. I mean, the resume is a great place to start because it helps us learn a lot about kind of your profile, your preferences. It also is the first impression, So if the average recruiter takes 5 to 10 seconds looking at a resume, we want to make sure that first impression is really strong. Everything's formatted well. We're presenting your relevant experience in a way that's really easy for that recruiter to see why you're a good fit and good candidate for the role. As we talked about, we've layered on kind of cover letters. As I mentioned, there's a lot of other components of looking for work, components around networking, components around interviewing, interview preparation. So there's a lot that we want to kind of build beyond just, kind of like the application part of the process and the job seeking part of the process. And over time, we do also want to, continue to develop relationships with employers and create new and different experiences, on the employer side as well. So there's just a lot of work that we're going to be kind of investing in the next several years, just to create better experiences for job seekers.
Now, to take just a little bit of a sidestep, Tuck, in terms of leaving your job, this is kind of a whole other conversation, really. But how did it feel to say, "Hey, I've been working at Credit Karma for 10 years, and now I'm leaving, doing this startup." And in 2022 and 23, that was two tough years. So it wasn't like great, the market wasn't so great. How did it feel to do that? And then also, you have some top tier venture capitalists backing you. Andreessen Horowitz, right? Is like one of the most premier Silicon Valley VCs. So also, I'd be curious, like, can you give us like the behind the scenes? How does that work? Do you just call up Mark and say, "Hey, Mark Andreessen, I need 5 million, 10 million. Can you help me out?" So maybe you could share, like, how was your journey, your career journey, to kind of, go from a corporate guy to an entrepreneur and raising money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the journey at Credit Karma was incredible. I mean, joined that company when it was, around 200 or so employees and kind of, grew within the organization. It's just Credit Karma is a fantastic company, organization, team, product, mission. So, a lot of what I've learned and what we're trying to kind of build, with EarnBetter, draws on, some of the culture and experiences that we're kind of we experienced at Credit Karma. Certainly nerve-wracking to make the jump, as you might imagine. For me, I've never been happier professionally. As I said, just falling in love with a problem, seeing the impact. It's something you said earlier, really caught my attention, which was when we were manually working and helping people and they got jobs. It's addictive. And I just couldn't imagine really doing anything else after doing that. And to us, the only question was, how do we scale this? How do we create impact that, where it's not limited by someone's time to be able to help them. And that's where the why now and generative AI comes in, because with generative AI, we can expand that impact and, provide a lot of the services that we were providing kind of manually early on in the journey of EarnBetter. And so it's kind of just, again, that combination of why now with like the mission and impact and just feeling that on job seekers in a very visceral way that got me excited and the team excited about kind of taking this journey. In regards to the fundraising part of the process, I do think what I think excites us, I think, as well as a lot of investors, is kind of opening up access to services that were previously only available maybe to a subset of the population. So certain people in the past might have access to career coaches and resume writers and things like that can be quite expensive and might be kind of out of reach for a large parts of the population. But with generative AI, we can bring assistance to the mass market that can help them with their resume and cover letters and their job search. And so really kind of expand access and open up a much larger market from that standpoint. So, I think, that part of the pitch was something that kind of resonated with, certain pockets of, the venture community as we went out there. And again, it excites us as well, because we, to my note earlier, we can expand the impact that we have versus, just manually providing services.
Now, how does it work? So you have the pitch, you have the idea, you have the passion, you have, the pedigree. So but now it's like, do you have to know somebody who could introduce you to the VCs, or is it a cold call? How does it work? For people
Yeah,
who are interested, who are watching here, who, maybe are thinking of their own startup. How do you make this happen? How do you get the wheels moving?
right. Yeah, I mean, so it's in some ways it's like a job search. You're putting together a
Mhm.
list of the companies and that you think could be a good fit. You're reaching out. You're trying to network where possible. You're getting feedback from friends and individuals in your network about your pitch and how it could be improved. And then you're kind of reaching out, and there is kind of a numbers game element to it. You're going to reach out to more people ultimately than will be interested, but it's really quite a similar process from that standpoint. But it's a lot of hard work. It's getting your kind of the name out there of the company and what we're doing, and trying to combine network and cold outreach to just get in front of the right people. And a lot of it, just like job seeking, it's about finding the right fit.
Mhm.
So it's one piece of advice that I give to other entrepreneurs that have gone through the process, after we went through the process, is it's less about necessarily convincing venture capitalists. It's more about finding someone that kind of has a shared vision around kind of where the world's going, where the product's going, where the market's going. And so certainly there are some that you'll convince with regards to kind of the opportunity, but oftentimes VCs will have their own points of view around where the market's going, where the product's going. And when you find people whose vision aligned with yours, and you kind of get excited about what you all could build together, that's ultimately what led us to Andreessen Horowitz.
So it makes sense. So it's similar. It is similar to a job search, where someone who's seeking a job is looking for going to look at target companies that they're interested in, seeing who the people are there, if they know those people. Do you share some commonality with them? What's their culture like? And I guess the same thing. You're going to, let's say in your case, Silicon Valley, to find out, hey, who are some VCs who are into this type of business model that we're building, who get it and who see the future the same way that you see the future, and then it clicks, right? And it's just like a job, like, hey, right job, right, hiring manager, and it all falls together. So I guess the same similarly that you do your research, try to find what companies have have backed people who do AI startups like yourself, and then are maybe into the career section part of things. And then and then what do you do? Do you have like a pitch meeting in front of these, like in front of them all, or it's just
Yeah,
conversations?
we did lots of pitches, lots of pitches.
Yeah.
So got a lot of great practice, and sharing the Earn Better story and what we're building, et cetera. And I just emphasize it's a long-term relationship, so it's really important to understand their values, again, where they see kind of the market, the product going, what they view as kind of an ideal relationship, as well as what we view as an ideal relationship, because it's a really, as an entrepreneur, it's a really important relationship to be aligned on from a values standpoint and a vision standpoint. So a lot of those conversations are about ensuring you have that match, because if you don't have that match, then it can create friction and tension down the line. So a lot of those upfront conversations are seeing where there is that good fit, from both a values and vision standpoint.
So you have to be compatible. You have to feel comfortable. Hey, if I'm going to be, we're going to be working together. You're help, you're funding, this endeavor, and we're going to have all these meetings and conversations. You want to make sure, just like a job seeker, you want to make sure you're feeling comfortable with your boss, your manager, your other supervisors, and then it just makes it much easier.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's exactly right as
yeah.
well. Well said.
So what do you see next? Like what I saw on LinkedIn, you've been posting things about, your vision, what's going to happen in 2024 and beyond. Now that you're really enmeshed in this world, like what kind, even if it sounds crazy, like what kind of stuff, not just earn better, but just generally, where now that you're really immersed in this space, where do you see it going? How big is it going to be? How big is earn better going to be? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as far as things happening in kind of this market, I mean, first off, I think AI is still really early
Mhm.
in kind of the job search market. I think enterprises already thinking about how do we use AI to make marketers more efficient, to make salespeople more efficient, recruiters more efficient, software developers more efficient. I think it's still pretty early around how job seekers think how they can use AI to be more efficient in their search and kind of level the playing field. So I think first and foremost, you just see a lot more talk about
Mhm.
AI and the job search and how it can support job seekers. I think as a part of that, you also, see different threads about, you know, is it using AI, cheating in the job search, and in what ways is it fair and equitable? In what ways is it not? I think in academia, we've seen a lot of, talk and discourse around, AI and kind of its impact on students and cheating in that context. Our viewpoint is, it really helps level the playing field. So I think you'll just see a lot of kind of the discourse around that as AI becomes just much more prevalent and kind of well known in the job search space. I think where the market generally will be going is there's just going to be a lot more, volume on both sides of the equation. You've got, companies using AI to kind of help amplify the outputs of recruiters, so they'll be sending out more messages, more tailored messages to more candidates. On the job seeker side, AI will help enable job seekers potentially to submit more applications and more tailored applications. And so I think almost counterintuitively, one of the places where this goes is the human element and the human touch, I think, will be more important over time, right? Is to how do you combine kind of AI with the human element to be better as a recruiter, to be, better, more effective as a job seeker. And so one of the things we encourage candidates to do is, with that time that you get back using AI in your job search, how can you, use that to develop new skills, new credentials, spend time networking and doing those sorts of things. So those are some of the, the trends that we see. I mean, much further out, we just see, almost everyone having an AI assistant that's helping them not just with their job search, but with their career more broadly, right? So we see that, you've got a certain set of experiences, maybe with, adding a credential, you can kind of, upskill and be in a more demand area and, really meaningfully improve your compensation. So, at least what we're building to, and we think the market will head in the direction of an AI assistant that doesn't just help you in kind of an episodic job search, but helps you throughout your career. and thinks about the various pathways and how to kind of improve in your career. So those are a couple of things that we see in kind of the both intermediate and longer term that we see kind of the job search space going, particularly as it relates to AI kind of infusing it and what type of impact that has on it.
Did you foresee on the other side of the equation with HR talent acquisition that once they get more involved with AI, it would help streamline that process as well, so that, one of the biggest issues people have when they search for a job, they say, hey, I'm getting ghosted, I'm not getting any feedback, I don't know what's going on, I'm going interview after interview, and I'm not, is this happening or not? So do you think also with AI, the same way you could help with a cover letter, ancillary, collateral information, notes and what have you, and emails, that maybe one of the biggest issues that I hear from people is that you don't get that connection with the HR representative, the hiring manager, talent acquisition person, so that they would use AI too to be able to say, hey, Jack, hey, Tuck, hey, we got great feedback from the hiring manager, very interested in having you come back for a second round. Um, they also mentioned for the second round, hey, we're really going to talk about X, Y, and Z, so maybe brush up on X, Y, and Z. Because that's what used to happen when you talk about the personal touch that I would do as a recruiter. You would have that back and forth. But now I wonder if that will happen as well to make the process much better and smoother, because now you're getting that feedback so you could do better. So for the next, so now you're like, oh, all right, I didn't realize I was doing X or Y, or I was, the manner in which I was speaking was clunky and they didn't understand it. So, all right, now I know I got to work on it. So they graciously invited me for another interview. Now I'm going to, make sure I'm not doing that and take the next step. Can you
Yeah,
kind of see this happening holistically from all sides now?
I mean, I think it's a potential benefit
Yeah.
of AI across the board, which is to kind of the tedious aspects of whatever you're working on
Mhm.
could be more automated, so you could focus on, in the case of a recruiter, providing a much higher, higher touch, white glove type service that it's really hard to do when you're being, inundated with kind of, resumes, and you're kind of scanning databases to try to find the right fit for a role. The job of a recruiter is really tough as well, and it's becoming more and more demanding. And so, with AI kind of again automating some of the tedious
Yeah.
aspects on that side of the equation, we certainly see the potential for recruiters to provide a different type of service that just hasn't been possible with the suite of technologies kind of available today. But again, it's that combination of both kind of individual with AI that we think is most powerful. So
It's interesting. So I've looked into a few different recruiting AI, and you got to forgive me if you hear some background noise, because I still have a landline here, because the tech, sometimes the phone drops here. So I don't know if you're hearing it. I apologize. Uh, I've spoken with a few people who are running these recruiting AI platforms, and what's interesting, they're not perfected yet, in my opinion, but it really does a good job, because now the same way, where the way you would describe it, you could have like millions of jobs for people to look for. Then when you're searching for a job seeker on the other side of it as a recruiter, now it opens up where you could find millions of people, and then narrow it down to the ones you're doing. So I think across the board, so then it makes it easier for recruiters to find people. It makes easier for job seekers to not be weighed down with having to fill out an application and uploading the application and getting into their ATS system and then blah, blah, blah. And you know what I mean? And all that stuff. So it just makes it much more streamlined, and where it's a pain point. And you probably went through this when you're doing your due diligence, hearing these stories, how like people are so frustrated that as time goes on, perhaps the whole thing could turn around where become a more pleasant on all
yeah.
sides, from the recruiting side, from the job search side, from the HR side. Or am I just like being naive, or is this like, is this possible?
Look, I mean, our aspiration is to make it better,
Yeah.
and we're starting the job seeker first,
Yeah.
right, and kind of their experience and automating those aspects of it. But a lot of what excites us about this space, I think what excites investors about
Mhm.
the space as well, is you talk to both employers and job seekers alike. and neither are particularly happy with the status quo.
No,
There's
right?
frustration on both sides of the equation. And so, deploying AI in new and different ways that can help, again, take away a lot of these repetitive tasks to free up time to invest in other areas is just something that, on both sides of the equation could, in ways, bring some humanity back into the experience, and just create more opportunities for one-on-one connection and different types of experiences. And it means different things, on the recruiter side versus the job seeker side. For the job seeker, it's we've talked some, just the mental health aspects of a job search, just having a little bit of time for yourself to recharge, to rest up, to prepare for interviews and those types of things is really important. And so, for job seekers to get time back, they can do various things with that. On the employer side, there's various other things that recruiters can do to be more effective, if they're repurposing their time. So that's our vision. I do
Mhm.
think with AI, as I mentioned before, you're going to see a lot more outreach from recruiters. You're going to see more applications from job seekers. So in many ways, it'll make it easier, I think, to kind of prioritize your time. But at the same time, there's just going to be a higher volume, I think, in general. So TBD, kind of which of those currents is stronger in the longer term. I think that's kind of a countervailing current to the trend you described. But certainly, we want to be on the side of trying to use AI to free up time and bring some humanity back into the process.
That sounds great. And you come across as a very humble guy. So I don't mean to be crass when I'm asking this, but is part of the goal too, you know, getting funding, getting in the space to be like the player, just like, LinkedIn becomes a brand to go to for networking and finding a job, that ultimately Earn Better would be that brand. So when anybody starts thinking about how do I embark upon my job search, they're going to go to you guys. Is that kind of the game plan where it's going to get so large that it just becomes, that's it? That's like the iconic brand to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's our vision is to
Yeah.
create a really large um, business that creates huge impact. I think one of the biggest ways to create impact here, and it's kind of where we
Hmm.
started the conversation, is like what motivated
Yeah.
the founding team of EarnBetter to take this step, this entrepreneurial step, was to create impact. And the way you do that, one way to do that, is to create a really large business and a really big brand, a brand that people know, love, and trust, and come to again and again, to support them in their job search and their career. And so there obviously are some really big, companies in the kind of talent acquisition space, and it's a huge, huge, huge market. And so between both sides of the marketplace, job
Hmm.
seekers and companies, not being particularly happy with the status quo, it being a huge space, we definitely have the aspirations to create a really large business, but as much as anything, just to create a huge amount of impact. Because as I shared, once you kind of feel that impact on a personal level, working with job seekers, thinking about what that could mean to individuals and families that might find a job more quickly, might bump their salary 10 or 15%, that can have such a dramatic impact on
Hmm.
families. And doing that at a scale not of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, but millions and tens of millions, it could just create enormous kind of positive impact, and that's what really motivates us on a day-to-day basis.
Well, that's fantastic. That's why I'm so glad that you're able to come on the show because through my writing at Forbes and interviewing people and through these different LinkedIn lives and podcasts, the common denominator for the last number of years, a job search is just so painful and so debilitating to people. And when you mention, I'm glad you mentioned mental health because that's a big issue. Because when you're looking for a job and you're trying to interview and you don't get called back and you can't find a job, and then you start thinking it's you, and then your self-confidence erodes. So then even if you do get an interview, you're not feeling your best. And that's a big factor. So I'm glad you brought it up. And hopefully, you know, you know, Earn Better and then and other entities in AI that kind of run, not doing what you're doing, but parallel to help out too. I'm really excited to learn about them and share it with an audience because I think so many people are so unhappy, as you point out too, on both sides of the equation. So that if, and no pun intended, if you can make it better and make it more meaningful, and make the process, I'll even say just at least okay. It doesn't even have to be, we'll start with that because right now it's miserable for people. So okay is like way better than miserable. So if you could get people who feel like, hey, now I have a fighting chance, now, their confidence is going to go up. They're going to feel more empowered when they go on interviews. They're going to perform better because now they feel like, you know what, I do have a shot at this, because instead of just looking at a handful of jobs, I have so many different jobs that I can go for. So I'm glad yet that you came on and talked about it, because let's be frank, in today's day and age, everybody's just angry and surly and anxious and stressed and just point out the negativity and what's bad and what's wrong. I'm trying to find people like yourself who are coming up with really interesting concepts, really interesting startups that are geared to helping people make their lives better and improve their lives and have the ability to make more money for themselves and for the family. So I'm really appreciative that you share this, so people, and this is the, perfect platform for it, because these are the folks who are, who are watching now and be watching tomorrow or next week, who want to get ahead. They want to find a new job. They need to find a new job, and they're knocking their head against the wall. Now they say, hey, maybe this is the right way I could do it. So I think this could help a lot of people, and I'm really glad you're able to walk through. And I really also appreciate it. And I know it's awkward when you have funding and all that, but I don't mean to be too personal, but I think it also helps people get an inside glimpse of like what really goes on when they're hearing about, venture capitalists and raising money. So here you get a sense of like, oh, this is what goes on. So I think in a separate note, it gives people some insights to this is what goes on behind the scenes when a person goes from a corporate job, taking that risk as an entrepreneur, and then their journey. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time and sharing this story with us and sharing your journey and your company. So I think everything's gonna be great, and I look forward to like next time speaking to you, and it keeps getting bigger and better, and you're placing more people.
Well, wonderful. Thanks, Jack, for including us, and really fun conversation. Look forward to continuing the dialogue in the months to come.
My pleasure, Tuck. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Bye bye.